And hello good people of the internet, it is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Movie. This episode we're going to do some more readings from the 40 Servants deck. The questions have been supplied by my patrons on this computer that you can see over on patreon.com that you can join up if you want. The links are in the description as always. Just to start by saying that when you're doing readings, or when my approach to readings, what I think that is advice from a friend rather than the divine word from God, or the things the way it is. It's like seeing things from a different perspective. It's seeing things from a different angle, looking at things in a different way. It's like a bouncing back or a reflection as you would if you were talking to someone else. And I find them very helpful, but I don't think it's too helpful to think that if you get a particular answer that that's the only thing that's kind of for your future, or that's the only way it's going to work out. Simply by doing a divination, you're changing the future anyway, because you have new information that you didn't have before. So while I wouldn't go so far as to don't take it too seriously, or don't take it seriously, take it as serious as you would advice from a friend that you trust, but also, at the end of the day, just have it inform you rather than make your decisions. That's probably exactly what I mean. So I'm again going to be using the Brazilian deck, because that is the one that I have close at hand. My own deck, my normal one, the one that, Gamecraft, the one I have in my coat, so I carry around with me all the time. But it's in the house, so I don't have it with me. So, let's start with, I always try to do a card for myself, so to know if this is, a good time to do this. And we have the healer. So, yeah, I would say this is a good time, or that's a good positive card, so let's go. Abraxas asked the question, who am I? Good question. If you want to know who Abraxas is, you should listen to his appearance on the Magic People podcast. But I'm sure that's not what he means. So, the I. The I is about things being on plan. Things being exactly the way they're meant to be. So, who are you, Abraxas? You're exactly who you're meant to be. Very cliche, occult, spiritual answer. But I suppose, let me bring it out a bit. It would be like saying that the thing you are is exactly what you need to be. It's exactly where you need to be. You're exactly you have all the faults that you need to whatever lessons you need to learn. You have all the positive attributes of whatever it is that you need to push forward and, create whatever it is. And things are, it's kind of like going to, like there's a kind of a thing that they're, in the eye of providence, I suppose, is that you're being looked after, or the things are working out according to the defined plan. And that even if in the kind of moment of it, it feels wrong or bad or hard, that it is ultimately for the good. Or, if you feel guilty about something, or you're a bit lost, or any of these things, that ultimately, that's fine. That's where you need to be right at the minute. So without just getting into more and more cliches, who am I? You are exactly who you are, and that's perfect. And not just kind of in the kind of trite sense of, everyone's special, everyone's perfect. You're exactly what you need to be. And who you need to be. Dylan Sticker. Is it Sticker? Yes, Sticker. Should I pick the stable option or the adventurous one? Should I pick the stable option or the adventurous one? There we go. Okay, so we have the devil. So, the way to approach this, the devil is obviously restrictions that you place on yourself, for things that you hold yourself back, shadow aspects, guilt, lack of confidence, your own shittiness, your own things, rather than an external factor, which is what the opposer is. It's an internal thing. It's like not having the confidence, or not feeling you're good enough, or anger, jealousy, all of these things. So, internal type stuff. So, should I pick the stable option or the adventurous one? There's something in you that's holding yourself back from the thing that you want. And I assume by the question, should I ask for, the stable one or the adventurous one? What you actually want to do is the adventurous one, right? Of course. Because the stable one is the boring one, the one that you're told by the world that you should do, the one that you're kind of, go through school, and that's what they tell you to do, because that's what they're preparing you for and all that. And so this, in a sense, is you now become an internal factor, an internal barometer of how you view the world, or how you make decisions of the world, and your place in the world. So have a look at the things that are holding you back internally, that your beliefs you have about stable versus adventurous, and have a think about it. Ultimately, I would say that the adventurous one is the one to do because it's probably the one you want to do, whereas the stable one is the one you think you should do. And the devil is pointing to the fact that it's an internal battle and you are holding yourself back. It's not really the out there. Like, it's not the opposer, it's not other people, it's not the world, it's you. So, hope that helps. Wendy Ligingo. Wendy, I'm so sorry. I can't do that. I can't do your name. What can I do to shift this mindset? Okay. The monk. Well, go into silence, simplify, and get rid of the clutter, get rid of all the annoyances around you, all the extra stuff you don't need. Get rid of, simplify, bring everything down to, so if you're like, I don't know what your problem is, obviously your mindset, if it's overthinking, if you've made the thing too complicated, just simplify it, to get it down to its core of what it is. What is the exact mindset? What is the things that need to be done? What are you looking for? What is, what's the problem? And if it's just like, if it's a mood, say it's a low mood or depression or a general sense of ennui or something like that, then simplify your life. Look after yourself, go back to the kind of small things, and appreciate the little small things, like a cup of tea while looking out the window with the rain hitting the thing or whatever, and just kind of appreciate the small things and simplify. But there's also, with the monk, is this idea of retreat, which mightn't be appropriate depending on what your mindset is. If you're kind of depressed and down or whatever, then retreating from the world may or may not be. You might need a break from the world, you might not, you will know. Simplicity, quiet, possibly retreat, meditation, obviously, and just bring everything down, and rather than the hustle and bustle and the wah of the world, it's bring it down to the kind of the silence, the appreciation, the small things, the kind of fundamental things, and see if that works for you. Steve Graves, I feel lost. Which direction should I take in my magic practice? I'm sorry you feel lost. Lost is a horrible feeling. It's a feeling I have experienced an awful lot in my life, and so I understand. Lost, though, I suppose in your sense you just don't know really where to go or what to do. So before the cards, saying what I would suggest is take a break. If you're not getting headway or you don't know what to do, then one of the best things you can do is take a break and then come back with fresh eyes. Let's see what the cards have to say. The Protester, interesting. So what are you angry about? What are you annoyed about? What is the elements of, say, in regards to your magic practice that that annoy you, that frustrate you, that you feel are unfair, that you feel is not working out for you? And get annoyed at them and get angry at them, and then see what you can do. And or even further, I suppose, what bits, because magic is a kind of, you're using magic to improve your life or your whatever. What is the bits about your life or your world or their world, the greater world, that annoy you, that you want to protest, that you're angry about, that you feel are unfair, and that your voice maybe isn't heard? Maybe that's it. Maybe you feel your voice isn't being heard. What is it? And then try and aim to get your voice heard, or to improve that, or attack those things with magic. If you feel that you're not being heard at work, whatever it is, or that the situation around, do sigils, do magic, do towards work. Get into hoodoo maybe, because there's an awful lot of kind of work, very practical stuff with hoodoo and stuff like that, and get into a kind of a practical sense of how to approach, rather than a theoretical kind of magic. The armchair magic where you sit and you try to become an ascendant master by reading books from 150 years ago that don't really make any sense or have any relevance to us anymore. Look at your life. What do I need? What do I need to do? What do I want? What is my surroundings? What do I need to get better at? What do I need to improve? What do I need to get rid of? And then follow your magic practice along those paths to try to resolve them, I would suggest. Tony Widmo. What mindset should I adopt to succeed in my current personal project? The Witch. So, you need to see yourself as the center of weird, or the center of magic, and be able to infect the world and affect the world with your magic, your kind of guile, your witchcraft, all that kind of thing. So see it as, what should I succeed in my periscope? The mindset is to see yourself as the magician, to see yourself as someone who can create all of these things, create the things that you want, and who has, you know, abilities that maybe other people don't have because you're aware of magic, or you're aware of the creativity, or you're aware of all of these things that, you know, we've become aware of. And to come from that, to feel yourself as the weaver of weird, and that's the kind of the mindset. Come as a witch, come as a magician, and how all that entails. See it as a magical act. There you go. So next we have Dean Parker. How can I overcome negative emotions? And it gives an example of it for a jealous pendulum, for example. Pendulum in the reality transurfing. Let's see. I used to suffer from jealousy an awful lot in my youth, and I don't now at all. But, let's see what the cards say. The Fortunate. Okay. What the cards are telling you there is that with jealousy, jealousy is a thing that, rather than say envy, and the difference between jealousy and envy is jealousy is you think someone is taking something that belongs to you away. Be that they're going to take your girlfriend, your boyfriend away, they're going to take the job that you deserve. It's like something you think you deserve that someone else has, and by them having it means you're not having it, so it's them taking it away from you. Whereas envy is that someone has something that you wish you had. You don't feel in a sense an entitlement to it. You just look, oh, I wish I was the type of person who had that, or I wish I had that car, but I don't have the money. But it's not that you think they're taking it away from you. So in the jealousy type thing, what you have to kind of look at, as the cards are suggesting, is rather than looking at the stuff that you think it's been taken away from you, look at the good qualities of all things. So rather than always worrying about, say, your girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, going off with someone else or flirting and all that kind of, think of all the great qualities of the relationship, all the good things, and concentrate on all that. And think of some negative emotions. It's like, that's it. So I mean, probably a bit too much going on the jealousy. That was just an example, but the negative emotions is the only way, and I know this from therapy, and it's hard and it's terrible, and we don't want to hear it because it's not the answer we want, is to think of the good things, not dwell on the bad things. And it's, if you want it from a pendulum point of view, is not feeding the pendulum. You know, if you're constantly feeding the negative pendulum by more negativity and buying into it, you have that vortex thing that happens, and it makes it, you know, everything worse. So gratefulness, appreciation, seeing that, you know, the good side of all things. Hard, and you're not going to get it every time. You're certainly not, and it's impossible. And you're going to set yourself up to fail if you're constantly trying to be positive, and then when you're not positive, that you berate yourself and you feel bad about yourself. You're going to have times when you're not going to be able to be positive. Simple as. We live in a planet, in a universe that's just, you know, it's not 100% positive. It's just not. And you're going to have times where things aren't great, and you're going to, you know, try to react as best as possible as you can to it. That thing in reality transurfing of going, what's the advantage? You know, what's, even in a bad situation, what's the thing that I can, you know, kind of look at that, you know, at least there's that, you know, or even if you want, how can I turn this to my advantage? But that's not quite what it means. But it's like, even in this kind of bad thing, what advantage is there in it? And once you get into that mindset, you'll start seeing that, you know, there is some sort of advantage to it, or at least you can pretend and act like a good chaos magician, that there's some sort of advantage. My battle with jealousy, what it kind of came to in the end, was that just that when it pops up, every time it popped up, I just said, you know where this leads? This only leads to annoyance and sadness and unhappiness and anger and all that, and nowhere else. There's no benefit for you out of it at all. And so you can act on it, and you can go down that road, and you can feel terrible, and you can be, you know where it goes, or you can just say, I'm not doing that. So every time it popped up, I just went, I know where that goes, I'm not doing it, and just, you know, stop thinking about it. And because it warps your sense of the world, and it warps your view of people and relationships and all that. And it eventually just stops. It's like kind of biting my nails or smoking, whatever. You know, the first week's hell. And then you find, like, I mean, I feel now that I've never bit my nails. You know, it's just not something that's in my programming, in my pattern. Same as smoking. It's been, whatever, 5 or 6 years since I smoked. And occasionally you'll have to go, oh, I'd like a cigarette. But it's like part of your brain that's just going, hello. And you just go away. It's, you know, it's dumb. And it's so much easier now. But it's just, it's practice. Okay. Caitlin Sinclair, where should I focus for my next step? Lots of new creations going on and lots of people moving forward, which is great. So, Caitlin, where should I focus my next? The camera's always lower for me, so I tend to hunch up, so I have to be aware of my posture. Okay, sorry, now concentrate on Caitlin's. The monk. Isn't it always interesting that there's a theme when we do these, that the cards come up more often? The monk. So, where should I focus? You should focus on simplicity, on silence, on decluttering, on the small things, the fundamentals of life, the kind of, not, as we said in the previous question, not the hustle and bustle, not the madness, not the whole thing about there, but on the quiet time, the internal, the kind of when we think of like the monk, you know, the classical kind of Zen monk in the monastery, it's a simplified life. There's a routine. There's no not an awful lot of excitement in the sense of, not that it's boring, in the sense that there's nothing exciting you. There's no, you know, there's no loud noises. There's no sudden bus full of tourists arriving, or maybe there is, but you know what I mean, that they're not going and watching a football match, whatever, you know, where it's raising the adrenaline and it's, you know, getting the excitement going. It's keeping things calm down, and not in a subdued, not kind of forcing down, but just relaxing down, and that kind of sense of serenity and simple. And, you know, in a sense, when I think of it, I think of like, you know, blossom flowers, or you know, simple like snow falling, you know, that kind of very simple thing. So focus on simplicity, on quiet, on not the big kind of act, not the big kind of push forward or whatever, but on the smaller, you know, becoming coherent, becoming settled, becoming resilient, becoming silent, rather than the great push. It'd be like kind of, I suppose, rather than, you know, say you wanted to be a rock star, right? And so rather than going out and then ringing every single record company going, listen to my demo tape, or, you know, really putting the push on and doing the hustle, or, you know, trying to get out there, get the word out there and really putting the push, it would be the kind of the opposite of that. You know, staying at home, working on your art, you know, becoming a better singer, guitar player, whatever it is, working on it, and not, you know, not telling the world how great you are, but just becoming the person, doing the thing, rather than the hustle. Hope that helps. Mate Bende. Okay, now what? That's the big question of the world right now, isn't it? Okay, now what? The Tinker. So, it would suggest that rather than going through gut feelings, rather than going with kind of a general sense of going with the, you know, the world as it presents itself and free flowing through it, whatever, have a serious think about it and think of things from a logical, analytical, what's better for me on paper and what feels better, and have an approach and see the world from that for a period of time and see how that works out for you, rather than a kind of a, you know, like rather than the seer, which is, you know, all about intuition and stuff like that. So the Tinker is, it's kind of a very overlooked servant, because in Magic we don't really like that kind of archetype, because we kind of equate it with like the debunker or the skeptic and stuff like that, and we, you know, we're the believers, man. But he's important, and I spend an awful lot of time in the Tinker mode and archetype. In a minute, I'm fairly embedded in it right now, but that's coming out of things I've talked about in other videos, where it's just like, because of the whole madness of the, you know, all the conspiracies and all of that kind of stuff of the pandemic. I just kind of went the complete kind of opposite, into the thinker, away from the seer, because you need to kind of be rational an awful lot of time, and we have a kind of a tendency not to be rational and skeptical in magic, and it's the method of science, the aim of religion. So I mean, the method of science is the thinker, is the the skeptic, the testing it, the not believing it just because someone says it, not believing it just because it's in a book, not believing it just because we've believed it, or your mother believed it, or your cousin Michael believed it, whatever it is. It's test these things, think of them rationally from a skeptical point of view, and go out in the world from that. What looks better, what works, rather than what we want to work, what we wish would work. So that is saying what the approach should be. Hang out with the thinker for a while. And I know as an Irish person, and particularly in the where I'm from in Ireland, I don't pronounce my H's properly, so the thinker probably is more, it just seems weird. Ian Wheeler. Elin Wheeler? Lean Wheeler. How do I further my plans to move to Dublin? Well, the minute won't let you in because we've all the travel bans. Let me see. The Explorer. Now that's interesting. So Explorer is about widening your horizons, exploring out different areas of. So I suppose the difference between, I suppose, the adventurer and the explorer is the adventurer is seeking adventure in known territory, whereas the explorer is going into unknown territory. It's doing things that you don't know what the outcome is, whereas the adventurer is seeking adventure in the sense of going on a roller coaster, say, for example. And you know what a roller coaster is. You mightn't necessarily know what exactly your reaction is going to be, but you can, it's within a certain frame of, I'm going to get on this roller coaster, I'm going to have a certain physical reaction, it's going to be exciting, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the explorer is more about going, I'm going to do something that I have no idea what the outcome is. Or I'm going to, to get into uncharted territory, the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns, all of these type of things. So the suggestion there, my plans to move to Dublin, is to do or think about things that you've never thought about before, and think about going into uncharted territory. And for a sense, I suppose, drop the idea just for the second of going to Dublin and see what bigger ideas there is, or see what the greater kind of thing is. Because when we get kind of locked into a certain plan, we kind of can't get past it, and sometimes we need to think bigger or think differently in order for that last kind of little cog just to turn to get to where we need to be. It's not to say give up and going to Dublin, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that don't be so stringent or have so many rules about that it has to be perfect in a certain way. To explore uncharted territory and see where you end up, or see what is the possibilities, and that might give you a clearer picture, because you might be locked into a certain ideal that mightn't be possible, but that possible to do in the way you want to do, rather than possible to, it's not. Of course, it's not impossible to move to Dublin. Loads of people have done it, but it's just you need to just have a wider scope of what your adventure, in a sense, or your movement needs to be. George Soulier. I would like to ask what the servants can tell me about my health. Well, by the fact that you're asking about your health, I would assume that you don't feel the healthiest, and I hope that's not true. I hope you're feeling great, George. I hope you're very healthy. But let's see. The depleted. So George, you might be overdoing things a wee bit. You might have a lack of energy. You might be feeling tired. I get a sense of you've been very tired and exhausted, weary. And so the suggestion, of course, with that is that it's cyclical, all these things as well, that that you need to end certain periods to get on to the next one. But in this, I think it's more you just need to relax, and you need to take some time to recuperate and to build your energy back up. Get an extra hour of sleep every night if you can. Get more rest in, all the usual things. Just try to eat, not necessarily better, but eat foods that are will give you energy, or will sustain you, or will rather than stuff that's say really heavy to digest or takes an awful lot of energy, takes food that will give you energy. You know, don't have a huge meals. Maybe have smaller meals that are easier to digest and all that. I'm not a dietitian. I'm just kind of spouting out random stuff here, but it's just trying to point at, you know, if you're in a kind of an exhausted, depleted state, then look at the things that you're doing that are adding to that, or that are you know, causing that, and then don't do that, or try, you know, but like try not to, because I suppose when it comes to health and diet and all of these things, we have a tendency that if to go on a diet is obviously not an awful lot of fun. So I'm saying not to take the fun out of it, because that's going to obviously add to the depletion as well, because we don't want to take fun away on top of everything else. And the thing, you know, little things we look forward to and all this kind of stuff, you know. But it's to add stuff in rather than, you know, take stuff away, because enough has been depleted, I suppose. Or even I suppose you could look at it from that point of view of depletion. Is there something that needs to be taken out? But I don't think that's what it's pointing at here. I think it's telling you that you're depleted and that you need to build yourself up again. So add stuff rather than trying to take away stuff. Add like an hour's sleep. Add, you know, vitamins. Add some, you know, drink some more water, rather than giving up the things that you love and you enjoy or whatever. You know, like don't. If you're exhausted all the time because you know your job, don't give up your hobby at night. You know, find some other way of dealing with it. You don't want to be losing the things you love. You want to be coping with them better. You want to give yourself more energy. Hope that makes sense. Not sure it does. If any of these things made sense, it's quite early in the morning here. This is my excuse. I haven't talked in a while, like one of these videos, so I'm a bit all over the place, and I'm just in a stare. Anyway, good people with the internet. It's good to talk to you again. I hope your day is going well. As I said, if you want to get in on these videos, I do them for patrons. Try to do them once a month. I think schedules are a bit weird at the minute because of many different things. Doing up the office, setting up the new computer, comics, pandemics, all of these things. But we try to do them once a month, so it's part of just put it up on Patreon or whatever. So have a great day. I was about to say have a great weekend, but who knows when you'll be watching this. It might be coming into the weekend. And may your best days be ahead. And I genuinely mean that. May our best days be ahead. May the road rise with us, all of those things. And be well.